right, let's just jump right in. The moment the entire tech world has been holding its breath for, it's finally here. OpenAI has officially dropped GPT-5. And I gotta tell you, after getting to play around with it, this is a way bigger deal than you might be thinking. We are talking about the next generation of AI, and yeah, it has arrived. And that right there is the key thing to keep in mind. This isn't just, a simple little update. The early consensus is pretty clear. GPT-5 represents a fundamental shift in what AI can do, how it thinks, and seriously, how we're all going to be interacting with it. So first things first, let's look at the official upgrades. What's actually under the hood making GPT-5 so powerful? We're going to break down the core specs that are driving this whole new evolution. Okay, first up, the context window. It's been blown up to a massive 256,000 tokens. Now, what does that actually mean for you? Well, it means you can feed it gigantic documents, like entire code bases, or you can have these super long, winding conversations, and it just won't forget what you were talking about halfway through. For any kind of complex, professional work, this is an absolute game changer. Next, let's talk about reliability. GPT-5 has up to a 45% reduction in hallucinations. That's when the AI just confidently makes stuff up. This huge drop in errors means the model is way more trustworthy for doing research, for analysis, and for just getting straight answers. It's a big deal. So here are the four main pillars of this new model. You've got in-depth reasoning, which means it can actually think in steps to solve tricky problems. Advanced multimodality lets it juggle text, images, sound, and even video without breaking a sweat. It also has integrated autonomous agents, which is a fancy way of saying it can handle tasks for you across different apps, all on its own. And finally, secure completion makes it safer, so it can turn down bad requests and tell you why. Okay, so the specs are impressive, but what does all that power actually feel like when you're using it day to day? Let's get into the next section and talk about how this stuff translates into a real-world experience, right? This is the question everyone really cares about. We know it's more powerful, we know it can be faster, but has the actual experience of, working with an AI really changed? Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes. Probably the single biggest user experience change is this. The confusion is just gone. Before, you had to pick from this kind of dizzying menu of models, right? Like, should I use 4.0 for this or 3 Pro for that? Well, GPT-5 gets rid of all that. It's now one single smart model that figures out for itself how much brain power to use for your specific question. It just makes everything so much smoother. So to really put this to the test, let's look at a real-world challenge someone ran, asking the AI to code a playable game of Tetris from just a single sentence. This is a fantastic way to test its intuition to see if it goes beyond just following basic orders. And honestly, the results are pretty stunning. GPT-4, which was the top model, it made a version of Tetris that, yeah, it worked, but it was super basic. It did exactly what it was asked, nothing more. GPT-5, on the other hand, it had the intuition to add all the features you'd actually want in a game. A score counter, different levels, a preview of the next piece, and it did all of this without being prompted. And this quote from the review just nails it. It's not a little bit better. The quality of what it produced is just in a totally different league. This shows it's not just about following commands anymore. It's about anticipating what you need and really understanding your intent. But hey, it can't be perfect, right? To get a really balanced picture, we need to push it even harder. We need to see where it still falls short. So let's dig into some more demanding tests and find out where it wins and where it fails. So this is one of the most interesting new things about GPT-5. When you give it a really tough problem, it now tells you it's thinking longer for a better answer. It actually recognizes that a task is hard and puts more processing power into getting it right, which is exactly the kind of smart behavior we've been hoping for. So check out this challenge. Code a playable game of chess, but with Pokemon as the pieces. GPT-4, it tried, but the result was buggy, it looked old, and it was basically unplayable. GPT-5, after thinking longer, created this gorgeous, fully functional game. It highlighted legal moves, used these premium graphics, and even made up new Pokemon-themed rules. I mean, the difference is just night and day. But what about those hallucinations? We asked it something simple. Name 10 tech products made by food brands. And even with all the improvements, both GPT-4 and GPT-5 confidently made up fake products, like an Oreo smart speaker. So the big takeaway here is, while it's better, the problem isn't totally solved. You still have to double-check its work. And here's a real surprise. It's not a clear win across the board. When it was asked to create a Star Wars party invitation, GPT-4 came up with this really clever, sophisticated image of Darth Vader in a suit. GPT-5's version, well, it was kind of bland and looked pretty low effort. It's a good reminder that for some creative tasks, the newest model isn't always a step up. All right, let's shift gears and look at some of the brand new features that make GPT-5 feel less like just a tool and more like a customizable teammate that you can actually work with. This is where you can really start to shape the AI to fit your style. This is a fantastic new feature, chat personalities. Need to stress test a new idea? Call up the cynic. Need a straight up, no fluff, factual answer? Switch over to robot mode.
The listener is amazing for more empathetic conversations, and the nerd is perfect when you need to go super deep on technical details. It's a really powerful way to get the exact kind of response you need.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, but how do I get it? And what's it going to cost me? Let's break down how you can get your hands on it right now.
So here's the good news. Everybody gets to try it. If you're on the free plan, you'll get a certain number of uses of the full power GPT-5 before it switches you over to the GPT-5 Mini, which is still incredibly good. The Plus plan gets you better performance, and the Pro plan, well, that gives you full, unlimited access to the absolute top-tier model for all your heavy-duty work.
Now, with a huge release like this, it's really important to see where GPT-5 fits in the bigger picture. Because, let's be real, OpenAI is definitely not the only player in this game anymore.
So here's a quick look at the competition. You've got Google's Gemini, which lives deep inside services like Gmail and Docs. There's Anthropic's Claude, which is famous for its focus on safety. Mistral AI is great for developers who need efficient, cost-effective models. And of course, Meta's Llama 4 is open source, giving people crazy amounts of flexibility. The AI world is more competitive than ever, which is great for all of us.
And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? GPT-5 is smarter, it's more intuitive, and it makes fewer mistakes. It gets context better and can handle complex tasks all by itself. It's a massive leap forward. But as we've seen, it's not perfect. So is AI finally your perfect teammate? It's closer than it's ever been, but that journey, it's still very much unfolding. Look, this is really just the start of a whole new chapter in AI. So if you want to stay on top of every single new development and, explore the thousands of tools that are shaping our future, you've got to check out AIExploria.com. It's a massive directory and a great platform to keep you ahead of the curve. Okay, that's it for this explainer. We'll catch you on the next one.